Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of American Soccer Quick Kicks. I'm your host, David Wright. I hope you're watching Leagues Cup with me. We are sitting here getting ready to watch the final on Saturday. I'm actually recording this before the semifinals are played, so I don't know who the matchup is as I'm sitting here recording, but I wanted to go ahead and make this video for you because the very next day, this coming Sunday, August 20th, MLS is returning to regular season. Now, the soccer calendar is so full of these alternate secondary competitions the MLS clubs play in, and then of course you got the full international schedule with the United States. I spent all my time kind of talking about that, and I haven't gotten too much in the weeds with the MLS regular season. I'm not sure I've talked about it at all, but here's what's going to happen. We're on our final stretch of the regular season, and I just kind of want to set you up, kind of tell you what teams to keep an eye on, what some of the bigger stories are as we get ready to enter this final stretch. So a regular season consists of 34 games for everybody. And for the most part, everybody has played either 23 or 24 games. There's a couple out there with only 22, primarily because we have an odd number of clubs in the league this year. But we basically have 9 or 10 matches left to get in those, to finalize, the playoff berths. 9 teams from each conference are going to make it. And so it's a question of, I just want to give you some of the big stories of what we have for this final push where things generally tend to pick up in intensity as people are making those pushes. So I want to, obviously, the biggest stories in the league right now, Miami, and then there's St. Louis and Cincinnati. I think those 3 are the biggest stories, but I want to just spotlight 4 clubs from each of the conferences and to just kind of keep an eye on, okay? And generally, most of these are at the top of the table with a couple of exceptions. So if we start in the West, at the very top of the table is St. Louis. Fantastic story this year. Brand new club, expansion club. They're in their very first season. The way they put their roster together with not a lot of big names and splashy signings, no one expected much. No one was expecting them to do well at all, to qualify for the playoffs or anything like that in this first year. And they have done nothing but either be in first place or just maybe dip into second for just a week or so all year long. They have been leading the way in the West for the vast majority of this season, and they sit in first place right now. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic to see. St. Louis has always historically been a huge soccer city, and now that entire market is just on fire for MLS and for their club. And I love the energy of the crowd that you see in every one of their home matches is fantastic. Just the fact that they're having such a successful season. They're obviously have to be considered one of the favorites in the West. I mean, they're cup contenders. They've been in first place practically all year long, and they've been keeping that spot despite missing a couple of key players through injury. They can get those players back for this final push. They're going to be really, really, really dangerous and really hard to knock off that top spot. So congratulations to St. Louis. I'm so happy for all of their fans and everybody in that St. Louis area. Right behind them is LAFC. They're in fantastic shape. They are the defending champions, and they have spent a couple of, they've had a few weeks in first place here and there throughout this season too. They are in fantastic shape. They've added to their roster. They're going to continue to be a force to be reckoned with. They continue to be one of the elite clubs in the league. So definitely always worth keeping an eye on what LAFC is doing. And then in third place, there's Real Salt Lake. Real Salt Lake has generally underachieved, I would say, for the most part, and usually barely making the playoffs and then making an early exit. Something's happened out there. Pablo Maestrini, who played for the United States in 2002 World Cup, is the manager, and they're playing fantastic soccer. And they've just added Danny Bwanga, who was on that championship, MLS Cup championship team for LAFC. He is back in the league, and now he's playing for Salt Lake, and he has just added tons of quality immediately to their attack. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They have improved themselves here in the middle of the season, and St. Louis and LAFC could very well have their hands full. The fourth club from the West that I want to put a spotlight on is Houston. Houston, I believe, is sitting in 9th place right now. They're just above that playoff line. But Houston has, by and large, been terrible these last few years. And they hired Ben Olsen as the manager this past offseason, and no one saw that as a very splashy hire. No one thought that Olsen would really be able to do much with this club. His only Major League Soccer experience, last coaching experience, lasted a long time. He had a long tenure at DC United, but that was kind of his career club. He'd spent his whole career with DC, and DC was not a very ambitious club, and it just didn't feel like he could really be that kind of coach that could turn that team around and get good stuff from them. But he has. Full credit to Ben Olsen. I'm so happy for him. Houston has been so much improved in his first season as their manager, and they're currently in the playoffs. If the season were over now, with the way the standings are, they would be in the playoffs. So I'm rooting for Houston. I'm rooting for Ben Olsen that they can stay above that playoff line. We'll see what happens there. Then we're going to move to the East. Okay, at the top of the table in the East are the runaway Shield leaders, Cincinnati. This is a fantastic story because Cincinnati came into the league in 2019, and for their first 3 years, in 19, 20, and 21, they weren't just bad. They were the worst club in the league. And they weren't just the worst club in the league, they were the worst club ever in the league's history. I mean, they came in dead last of the entire table 3 years in a row. 3 wooden spoons. They were historically awful. And then last year, they were better. This year, they've been in first place in the East almost the whole time, and they've got a huge margin over the second place team in the Shield standings. So that they are, if I haven't done the math to see how far away they are from clinching the Shield, but they're going to clinch it early. And it's so wonderful to see that happen. So I am happy for the Cincinnati fan base. They were huge in USL, and I was happy when they joined the league because I thought they were going to be bringing a tremendous amount of quality and energy and fan support to the league. And then that got tested with how awful they were in those first 3 years. And I'm happy to see them doing so well. And no one seems to be able to catch them. They're incredibly good. They're the best team in the league easily. And what an incredible turnaround to be so low and now to be so high. So that's a fantastic story for Cincinnati. And right behind them, and I'm just not going to spend a lot of time on this, but New England set the points record for regular season success not too long ago, and they lost a lot of players. Right, they sold a lot of them off to England or Europe, and the question was, could they recover from that? Can they sustain their success despite this massive exodus of talent? And their manager, Bruce Arena, former two-time manager for the United States, someone that I remain a fan of, although he's in trouble right now with the league for some alleged insensitive remarks. We don't have any details on that. I don't know when he's going to be allowed to manage the team again. But what he has done is brought them back up, and they've been nipping at the heels of Cincinnati to whatever degree anyone has. They're sitting in second place in the East. So I'm happy for New England. I'm happy for Bruce Arena. I also hope that there's nothing to these allegations. And again, we don't know the nature of what's being alleged. But anyway, I am a fan of Bruce Arena, and I hope that New England can be successful, except for the fact that right behind them in the East is Nashville. And I live in the Nashville area. Obviously, I'm an Atlanta fan first, but I've moved to the Nashville area, and they're kind of my second team. And they have been really, really good all year. They've always been known for incredible defense, but they've just not been able to score a lot of goals. They have the league MVP in their playmaker, Hani Mukhtar, but he just can't do it by himself all the time. He needs support. He needs complementing attacking pieces where the strengths of those players are all working together and just generating more goals. What they have done is they have signed EPL player Sam Surridge. He has made his debut during Leagues Cup, much like Leo Messi has, and he has been fantastic. And so hopefully he's adding that piece of quality up top of their attack, that one missing piece that they've been trying to find. And if that's really going to work as well as we think, then Nashville is going to be someone there to deal with in the playoffs. I would spend this time right now talking about Columbus because I believe they've also have improved their squad, and they're going to be tough to beat, and we may see them climb up the table here in this final stretch of the season. But obviously, I have to save the best for last, which is ironic because right now, Miami are in last place, but they may suddenly be the best team in the league. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. Messi's on the team, Busquets is on the team, Alba's on the team, and their impact has been immediate. As I'm sitting here recording before the semifinals, Miami has yet to lose with Messi on the team, and he hasn't played an MLS regular season yet. Like, he debuted in the league in Leagues Cup, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we start getting back to the regular season and Miami's having to travel on these road games a little bit more, and how are other teams going to adjust and how are they going to game plan against their new roster. But clearly, not only the best player in the world, but perhaps the best of all time ever. And can they make a push? Like, they are in dead last. They are, I believe, 12 points out of 9th place, and there's only about 10 or 11 games left to play. So it may already be too late for a miracle and qualify for the playoffs. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they can literally go undefeated. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to keep our eyes on Miami and to see what happens there. But as I'm recording this, they haven't played their semifinal match. So as far as I know, right now, they still have a chance to win Leagues Cup, and they have a chance. And even if they have lost the semifinal, they have a chance to still make it into Champions Cup, because that third place game is going to decide that final Champions Cup berth that this tournament can reward. But they are in the Open Cup semifinals. Okay, we have Houston and Real Salt Lake in the West. We have Cincinnati and Miami in the East. What a titanic matchup that's going to be. That's U.S. Open Cup semifinal. Cincinnati, who's far and away, got the best record in the league right now, versus the new Miami. And whoever can lift that trophy also punches their ticket to Champions Cup, which is the new rebranded, expanded version of Champions League. So obviously all eyes are going to be on Miami. I'm unabashedly just loving every minute of getting to watch them play. I'm not cynical about it at all. I do want to see games called fairly. I don't want to see any just egregious referee calls letting Messi get away with stuff. I've seen a lot of accusations and cynicism along those lines. For the most part, I disagree with them. There is one, and I believe you know what I'm talking about, in the Orlando match where Messi was already on a yellow and he just wiped a guy out. I got nothing for that. I agree that should have been a second yellow. He should have been sent off. Hopefully Messi understands that tickets have been sold out every match on Miami's schedule because everybody in the world wants to see him play. I just hope he'll behave himself and not ever see red, for Miami. But the refs can't just let him get away with murder. I mean, you have to call the game right. So anyway, that's all I got for that. We have, so we're set up, right? We're in the final stretch. It all starts again on August 20th. These are the clubs I'm watching that I want to keep an eye on. I hope you will too. You will continue to get games in front of the paywall if you don't want to sign up for season pass. But at this point, why haven't you done it? This league is so much fun, and I think so many people are finding that out right now. I'm not sure the profile of the league has ever been any higher. And if you just sample the product, if you're already a soccer fan, but you haven't bothered with MLS, if you're sampling this, I think you're finding, you know what? This is actually fun. Is it the best league in the world? No, nobody's making that claim. Don't get angry about the fact that it's not the best league in the world, because no one's trying to say otherwise. But I can tell you what it is. It's fun. It's wacky. It's crazy. It's unpredictable. If you try it, I think you'll like it. Anyway, we're going to watch the Leagues Cup final this Saturday, and then all these clubs get back into action for the final stretch of the regular season on Sunday. Sign up for MLS Season Pass and watch some soccer with me, and I'll talk to you next time.